But yeah, so that's the Ferric scene. And then we can go jump into the Mon Mothma scene, which I thought was a very good scene. Like the whole thing. I don't know what you thought about it, but I really liked.
I liked
The,
it. It
I,
actually made me sympathize with her relationship.
right, because the whole show, like I said, was opening. Like we fall in love with the characters on every side of the story, the good characters and the bad characters, and like we sympathize with them, we root for them, like regardless of where they are in the story. But this whole time, everyone hates Mon Mothma's daughter, Alita, because she's just a bratty teenager. And now, like, we kind of like worry for her, like we care about her because she's being. You don't care about this?
No, I care about it, but it has nothing to do with her.
What do you mean,
How does that have anything to do with her?
Lita?
Like, in the sense of, like, it was up to Mon to let it happen, and she said no, so it's not.
She didn't say no. She's definitely gonna say yes to this.
Really?
Okay, yes, because if she doesn't do this, the 400,000 credits they got shifted over, is going to be caught by the Empire. And if that happens, she's going to get thrown in prison for the rest of her
I
life.
just thought she was gonna find a different way to figure it out.
No, there's no way. Why would they bring this up if it didn't have any significance? Because they've been planning this whole. Okay,
I thought they.
let's explain the scene first before we.
Okay.
So, Davu, what's his last name? Skulden is Tay's like other like business guy that he wants to bring in to help hide this money stuff and move money around. And so he comes and visits, and you can tell he's just a shady, crappy guy that does like, because I think last episode she was describing him as like a thug or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's very like in the Trandilla's like tradition and their kind of way of life, and he kind of talks about the whole marriage thing of marrying young, and like he knows that she's lying about the charity that she's starting, but he's like, I don't care, like it's your money, you have a right to move it wherever you want, like I'm all on board. And Mon Mothma's, well, what's your fee? And they kind of like argue back and forth a little bit, like, come on, what's your actual fee? And
Because he was like, I no fee, don't worry about it.
Well, he still had a cost that he wanted. He wanted to come back to Coruscant with his 14-year-old son to meet her daughter Lita.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought this was great storytelling because like they give this information. They write or the story is written out where we learn about this daughter and we don't like her. We think she's a brat. We hate her. And then we learn about Mon Mothma being married at 15 to her husband. And we didn't really, that's all we really got. And I'm like, okay. But then here, it all comes together very well for me, like why they mention these things, because this tradition of marrying young is being used here to kind of manipulate, in a sense, because it seems like the guy, it's like, I'm not sure, I should probably know more about Mon Mothma's backstory, but we know she's rich, but I'm guessing she's kind of like royalty maybe or something. But we know she's obviously in the Senate. So like this guy just wants to have connections with the Mothma family, whether it's royalty or just political or whatever. And so to do that, like, all through like history, people have used marriages to like form treaties and alliances and stuff like that. And so his fee is that his 14-year-old son meets her daughter, and like
because he even mentions it before, like that's how they were married, like the old traditional way,
right?
And then after that, he mentioned that he wants to have his son meet up with.
You're right,
but no promises.
Right, well, but everyone knows that it's more than just let's just hope for the best, like that they fall in love. Like he wants to put it more seeming like an arranged marriage. And Mon Mothma knows exactly what he's doing, and she's fearful for her daughter. And like as an audience, we're fearful for her because it's like she could be forced into like an arranged marriage, and so like, and we finally learned her age. She's 13. So there's what we kind of debated for a while on how old she was. But yes, she's 13. And so, like, I think that she's going to go along with it because we know that this $400,000.
See, and if she does, I don't know if I can support Mon as a character, dude.
But here's the thing: if you're gonna say that, you can't support Luthen because he does this all the same exact things, but even worse.
I never said I supported Luthen.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And Luthen, I mean, we don't hear about Luthen ever again. So he does something bad and shady to the point where
Well, we don't know that.
Okay, I think
you can't say that because you haven't seen a certain character in the show and you don't see him in Rogue One or the original trilogy that they're dead.
I think he's gonna die off.
Well, he probably will, but you can't just assume, like, jump to conclusions like
what he dies off.
I'm saying it's too early to tell like what his end is. He could still be alive during Rogue One. Like, we don't know that.
I guess.
I'm just saying that you can't be mad at Mon Mothma for forcing her daughter.
Selling her. Yes, you what?
Okay, but if you do that, okay, let me finish my comment. I'm saying if you're gonna be mad at Mon Mothma for doing that, you can't support Luthen with anything that he does. It's literally the same exact thing. He's killing people for the greater good.
No, that's war. Selling your child is completely different.
But he's doing it for the rebellion, for the future of the galaxy. His whole speech is about that.
Selling your own child for that is completely different. This is why I don't think she's actually going to do it.
Okay, but the writing of the story is paralleling those two stories. That he's giving up everything. He's allowing innocent people to be killed. You see Cassian killing innocent people. You see all this stuff in the name of the rebellion and to do freedom and to fight the Empire. They're making these horrid decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And Luthen is doing that same stuff, but like 1,000 times worse than what Mon Mothma would be doing with her daughter. Like, he's literally saying, I'm going to kill all of Krieger's people so that this one guy can live with his daughter and wife.
In his defense, Krieger only has 15 people.
It's 50 people, but it's still people. No life is more important than another. Like, everyone's equal.
But when you sacrifice your own family in the sense of you sell your daughter off, I don't know.
But I'm just saying,
different.
Why would they?
Way different.
Why would they bring up this marriage thing if it didn't matter, though?
Oh, I think it's. And when I viewed it, I think it was supposed to show why her relationship with her husband is so bad.
Okay, but
because she was practically trapped into a marriage that she doesn't.
I'm talking about this Davu guy bringing up his son wanting to meet her daughter. The fact that this is a plot point goes to show that it's actually something that's going to happen. Because it would be pointless to bring this plot point up and then to say, "Oh, we're not going to do that," and then she figures out something else. Like, that would be a terrible way to write the story.
I disagree. Because I think it shows the fact that why her relationship with her husband is so bad, and why she doesn't tell her husband anything.
Right, but
because she's just she was just forced into a marriage with him.
Right, but they could have just said that like we've already known. But why would they bring up the daughter and son thing here?
And to show that she still loves her daughter, even though she's bratty and she is leaning on more the side of her husband that she doesn't get along with, and to show how much pain that brought to her. She would never want to do that to someone else, including, like, she would never want to put her daughter through the same situation. So she found a different way to do it.
But like, that's lame. That's lame writing.
Lame.
Because it's just
good writing.
No, it's terrible writing because like it's just bring something up just for fun and then they just ignore it. Like, it would be
no, because I think it would make Mon look horrible because you could see, like, I mean, the acting in the scene is amazing.
That would be the point.
And to show like how hard that was for her, and like she was getting like flashbacks of her life. Why would she ever want to do that to her own kid? And as a parent, if I went through something like that, I would never want my own kid to do that, and I would rather go be in jail for the rest of my life than make my kid go do that.
Okay, I get that, but why?
No, but that's what I'm just saying.
But the whole point is to make her like with Luthen. The whole point is to make him look like to show that he's doing evil things for the greater good.
But we already knew that because he was making what's her name go find Andor and kill him.
Okay,
We already knew that he was being dirty.
Right, but this is that's just one guy.
No, but I'm just saying, like, nothing about Ethan has never not been like shady. I mean, and the same with what's his name. You know what I mean?
Like, but what I'm saying is the writing is paralleling. You have to sacrifice the hardest things in order to have success. Same with Kino. He sacrifices everything. He gives up his life to save everyone in that prison. Without him, no one in this prison would have been saved. Like, it's this is why I think this episode is so good, is because all these stories are paralleling each other because they're all the same story. And like, I mean, I think it's completely pointless to bring up the whole son meeting the daughter thing if it wasn't actually something that's going to happen.
She has to do.
Like, it would be the worst writing in the show because it's just there to bring tension and like, oh, I'm gonna find another way to do it. Oh, okay. And then it's like, okay, that whole conflict had nothing to do with anything. They could just wrote in a different way that she figured out how to figure it out.
I mean, you're probably right. I'm gonna have a lot of issues with it as a parent, and I feel like a lot of people would.
Right, that's what Star Wars. This show is supposed to do. It's supposed to show.
Mon Mothma has always been the character that has been like the shining star of the rebellion forever.
Right, and we learn in Rogue One that the rebellion is not all good. They do bad things.
True, but to bring Mon's character like that, I don't know, bro.
And honestly, like, her sacrificing her, in quotation marks, sacrificing her daughter.
Sacrifice. It's literally slavery.
Okay, but it's literally the least worst bad thing in the show. So you're telling me marrying off your daughter in an arranged marriage and being rich for her whole life is worse than letting 50 people get killed?
It's not your own kid.
Okay, but
if she was killing her own child,
right? But
then obviously, killing those 50 people and her child was one of them. Obviously, that would be awful. But it's different, Jeremiah. You don't
I think
different.
I think it's kind of
completely
terrible.
Different.
It's not though.
It is
because
it's war.
But either way, her daughter is going to is going to be a rich person for her whole life. She's going to be royalty. She's going to be rich, no matter what path she takes. And like her life is going to be.
I don't think that
her life as a rich person is going to be in an arranged marriage is going to be way better than all those dead people.
Okay, but Jeremiah, you got to remember that these dead people also volunteer to be in a rebellion. They know it's war.
But they're still innocent.
Things happen.
They're being murdered. They're still being murdered. They're still innocent.
They're not innocent. They're in rebellion. It'd be innocent if they were just random bystanders.
But that's the whole point of the show. Is that
I don't view it the same. I know that might be what they're trying to portray, but I don't view it the same at all.
But the whole show, this episode, showing that is everyone in the galaxy is a slave to the Empire. Everyone is a victim.
Being rich does not matter if you don't have love or freedom. Thanks, Retta, in the chat. It's true.
That's a thing. Yes, but like the whole But you look at the bird's eye view of the prison when they're swimming away.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not the Imperial cog, but it has 7 sides like the Imperial cog, and it's them escaping from this cog. Mm-hmm. Like this whole episode is symbolic of everyone is a slave of the Empire, and they have to escape it.
Yeah, and I think
so. Like these people who are rebelling, like the Krieger's team of 50 people, like they're the same as the prisoners being they're breaking free of the it's like they're not
No,
they're
it's not.
everyone's victims.
Okay, yes, they are victims, but they also are slaves. Like, are you trying to say that like, yes, everyone's a slave to the empire. Sure, I guess. You can be like that, but these people are literally rebels. They're trying to do that. They know that all is fair in love and war. Like, this is literally war. They're in a war, and if they die because someone betrays them, then they die. I
Right.
just I don't view it the same. I don't know.
I
Because
don't know.
I think I just why would she not will I don't know.
But the fact is, when she at the end of that scene when he's walking away, she's like, "I'm not even considering it," and he's like, "That's the first untrue thing you said all night." Like she is considering it. Like you have to take that at
Mhm,
face value. That because like the panic in her eyes is like, "This is my only shot to hide this 400,000 credits."
mhm.
And if I don't do this, I am going to get caught and I am going to be thrown into prison and
And she
tortured
should.
and executed.
And she
And
should.
and we know that she doesn't that doesn't happen to her. So she does something where she
Or so how close in the timeline is it when she leaves?
we're like 2 years away. And she
Oh,
leaves because
dang
she
it.
speaks
I was
against
really
this
hoping.
this Gorman thing that's been referenced multiple times from her, the whole Gorman oppression thing, the Gorman people. Like that's still why she leaves, and that's when we see her in Rebels.
Mhm.
And so we know that she doesn't leave because 400,000 credits was found by the Empire, and she's just fleeing that.
Gotcha.
Like
I don't know. I just think like it's every view of her is gonna change if she actually goes through with this.
I think that's good. I think that's what they want because the whole
I
Rogue
don't know,
One
bro.
Andor series is a show that the rebellion is not this perfect like does everything moral like they do evil things they do bad things like sure they say Saw Gerrera is like the worst but
But and that's how I've always viewed Luthen as like another Sog. Like I don't like everything he says has he's been lying and manipulating the entire show. So for him, it doesn't surprise me that he's willing to do this. Like when that stuff was happening, I was like, one, it was hard for me to even understand that whole conversation because I was so in shock of what happened previous scene when this intense person, this amazing character can't swim. Like I was still showing stock, like I missed half of that conversation.
have you
And
rewatched
then
it
huh? No.
you need
No,
to
no.
rewatch that because that
Yeah.
final scene with him is
I mean, I got gist of it. I just missed like a lot of the elevator talk because I was like crying. But but then it was just like I don't know. Nothing about Luthen. Like I don't. His character. Like not that I don't care about his character, but I can see him dying at the end of the season in 2 episodes. Like that's a possibility. So I don't have like a lot of attachment to his character, honestly. And he seems shady. Like him and Sog, like I don't know. Like there's nothing about his character that's not shady to me. So when he said that, I was like, oh, of course he's gonna do that. I'm like, why not? Like I don't know. Like it didn't bother me, and also it didn't bother me because I don't know enough about these other people that are gonna die. I don't have an attachment. But to see this person who we've seen in all these other movies, who's been like the light and the shine and the good of the rebellion to
who
Mon,
oh okay
and to sell her daughter because she doesn't get caught with fraud, essentially. It just like changes my whole view of her as a character. And it's like if this is actually a real thing, it's gonna be leaning a lot of fans, I feel like, the same way they feel about Luke and what they did with Luke.
I don't know I think people like the complex story and layers that it has and I don't think people are gonna
But you don't think people like the complex story right now, but they're hoping that they figure it out?
Well, of course people want that, but like I don't think people are gonna have backlash. I agree that if she does, in a sense, sell off her daughter, like it paints her in a different light. But like I don't think that's gonna cause people to hate that storyline or to hate her or whatever. I think it's just gonna add to her story, and it's just gonna like, and yes, change our perspective of her as she's not this perfect angel that leads the rebellion in a few years. Like I think it's we need more stories like this where characters are gray, where they make
Mm.
sacrifices that we don't like, because like I don't know, like, and the fact is like the only reason like we think that arranged marriage is not good is just because it's just a cultural thing. Like there are places still in the world that do arranged marriage, and like yeah, it can be done in
Okay,
a bad
yeah,
way and like in an oppressive way, but it's also
like
time
this
where it
situation?
right, but like but in other times it's not like a bad thing. It's just like what the cultural norm is, and no one's like it's not oppressive. It's not like
Correct. If
bad.
it was like but she
And so
literally she was saying though that in this situation it is bad,
no, I
and
get that,
she
but
so
I'm saying your intensity of being against it is influenced by our
no, it's not.
cultural.
Nope, nope. That's
But
not why. That's no. That's wrong. My intensity behind it is because I'm a father and I view her as a kid, and even if my kid was bratty, I wouldn't sell her
right.
off because I
Okay.
didn't wanna get
Okay.
caught
No,
with fraud.
you're not
And it has
listening.
nothing to do
No.
with if it was like a normal thing that they already did, she would already been picked out already. She would already been
Okay.
like
Right. Right. I understand
so
what you're saying. I understand that this is an oppressive form of arranged marriage. I get
yes.
that. And that's what you're against. I get that. But I'm saying you being against that is also influenced
No, it's
by
not. No,
our
because
culture
I know
not being a,
no,
we don't believe in that in our culture. It's influence. I'm not saying it's 100%.
no,
I'm saying even if
Jeremiah,
it's
the thing is I
1%.
know people that have arranged marriages personally.
I do
So
too.
I don't think it's that. For me, that's not why. It's the way they build this character and this
I'm
scene up.
I'm saying it's partially influence. I'm not saying it's the only thing. I'm saying it's
I don't think
influencing
it has
us.
any that's not why I'm influenced. I'm influenced by her tears and how shooken up this situation was for her. That's what I'm influenced. If she was just like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah, sure."
That
If
could
she was just
literally
like,
be
"Yeah, okay, let's do it."
99.99% of the reason. I'm also saying that our cultural differences here in the United States
I
has a
disagree.
0.01% influence on your perspective on it. Because that's why they write this into the story, is because in our culture we see it as a bad thing.
But
Like
there's
that's
cultures that are watching this movie and this show that's a norm, and they're not
right,
gonna view it they're gonna
right.
view it because
Right,
of
but
how it's happening.
the target audience is a Western culture, United States, Europe, Australia, Canada. Like it's all
Mm.
like in our culture, like that are it's the main thing. But they're not aiming for people in India and in Asia right now, in Africa, to
India's
like
probably a big market, they should.
it is
That's a lot of
like
people.
A Bollywood Star Wars show.
Dude, I'm down.
I'm
Get
down.
some dancing in there.
Whew.
Boba Fett doing the jig.
I'm just saying in because Western
I understand
people
what you're saying. I'm saying for me personally though, that's not why. For me, it was if she would have just straight up said, "Okay, let's do it," because that was how I was married, then I would have been like, "All right, that's fine." Like I literally would not care. It was the emotion that she was going through in that scene, which is also like I said earlier, it was like the best acting ever.
right,
Like it
she
was
was
so
like
good.
hyper, like her, like when they're he's walking away and she's like her
Her
face
face was
and her breath
twitching.
and
Like
like
it was so good. But if that wasn't there, it wouldn't have done that to me.
but like I think that because she has that response, she
She has to do
knows
it.
she has to do it. Like she's like this is the only way, and that's why it's killing her that like she is
I'm not
considering
saying
this.
you're wrong. I'm just saying it's gonna be hard for me to swallow. That's all I'm saying.
And
We spent
who
30
knows?
minutes on
And
this.
and like what's his name? Davu says, like, they're just an introduction. Like, maybe, you know, they're both attractive people. Like, they could still honestly meet each other and like actually fall in love, and like it'd be perfectly fine. And my mom was like, "Whew, that was
I mean,
like,
I would hope, but they're also 13. Remember what you would do when you're 13?
I don't
I
know."
made some dumb decisions when I was
Okay,
13.
but also there's a cultural thing too. Like,
I
us in
I know,
Western
I'm
culture
just
getting
saying.
married in our 30s, like,
Well,
that's
I was
very
younger than that, but yeah.
right. But like,
No, I
teen
mean,
marriage
yeah,
is a very common thing in most of human history. So
that's fair.
like
My parents got
my
married at
my when my parents got engaged, my mom was 16. Like,
how
when
old
I
was
asked,
your dad?
he would have been like 18. Like, they were dating in high school. But like,
My parents were the opposite.
I I remember I asked my dad, I'm like, why did you propose to mom when she was 16? Like, well, she was the one I was going to marry. So like just get it over with. Like, why wait? I'm like, okay, I guess.
I mean, my
And
dad
now
was 17 when he got married.
my parents have been married for like 47 years. So
I mean,
like,
it does happen. And arranged marriages, I mean, the population of India will show it does work.
it does work.
But in this situation, it didn't feel like that. It felt like it felt bad.
Yes, we all felt bad because we all have to sympathize with the situation.
Yeah.
So, but I
But
think it's still the
at the
best
end of the day,
writing.
I don't feel sympathy. I still don't really feel any sympathy for the daughter
But
herself.
she's still a victim. She's the biggest.
No, she is. I just feel more bad at like if Mont actually does it, because then my sympathy is going to be very negative towards her. But
Well,
this would be a way for her to get rid of her daughter and her husband.
right.
And somehow that happens. So I guess this is a really
Maybe
weird
it'd be
way to
something
go about it.
like the boy and the daughter meet, and they like
Or maybe
do
he
something
goes
illegal.
behind
They get
Mon's.
arrested.
Okay, no. Maybe he goes behind Mon's back and actually talks to her husband, and her husband sets it up.
Maybe. Or
Ha!
what if
And it
the
still works, but
but what
Mon
if
doesn't
like
look bad.
what if the son is like someone we know from the original trilogy?
Like who?
Like, I don't recognize Skulden, the last name, but like, what if it was just a character that had a first name, and like the son is like sees the issues with the Empire and gets maybe the son gets the
What if
daughter
it's
on
like
board to see that the rebellion is
Poe's dad?
bad,
Is
or
it
that the
Poe
Empire is bad.
Dameron's dad? No.
Well, Poe was born on Yavin,
So no.
so they could be, because if they're 14 and 13, and they're 5 years away, be 18 and 19, could be, but the Dameron last name, and
Well, they could have changed their last name if they're hiding.
right. Also, I don't think Oscar Isaacs is he Hispanic or half Hispanic or something?
I mean, half, but we don't know what this guy looks like. He could be.
The dad is white, so unless
Yeah,
the
but the
mom
mom
is,
couldn't be. I'm just saying, we don't know. I think what would be cool though, now that I think about it, is if he goes behind the back and talks to the dad, and the dad sets up this arranged marriage behind mom's back,
that would be would
and
that be
then
better for you? So
it
then,
would 100%, because then she would leave her husband because of how messed up Hugh is to do that,
and it would make
and she
sense if
would
that
still.
happened, because last episode when he's talking to Val, he's like, "Are you married yet?" Like, talking about like the importance of getting married at young age, because like, oh, you're too old to get married, type of thing. So you might be right that,
Oh, I hope this is. I hope I called it. That would change it, because then it's not Mon's fault, so I don't have a bad view on
and
her, and she still gets what she wants.
she still gets you what she wants, and it adds to the whole thing about Perrin being this terrible guy,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think I kind of like that your theory. So hopefully you're right. I
Give it to me.
Because then it would still justify why they bring this storyline
Mhm.
in of the age of the son and the daughter,
Exactly.
and why they brought it up earlier about Mon and her husband getting married young.
Or it pans like to the scene and her daughter hears it and she's like, "Oh,
Because
I want to get married," and then she just does it herself.
because the guy says that he's met her husband multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I think you figured it out, Drew.
Really? You think I did?
I think you did it. And if we didn't argue for the past 35
30
minutes
I would not have got it.
about this, it all worked. I hope this is like the best 35 minutes that we've had on the show in a long time.
Really?
We haven't debated like this in a long time.
It got really heated.
We haven't had a conversation like this since Andrew has been.
Yeah, because typically Andrew would be like, if anything, it would be you and Andrew, and then me jumping in and picking a side.
You're over there drinking your drink, and it's like, oh, this is fun.
Yep.
Is the chat saying anything else?
The chat.
I feel like we've had a lot of hot takes, and anyone offended by anything?
Y'all still like, it's been 35 minutes. Y'all still on this topic? Okay, yeah.